Welcome to Math Time with Mrs. Sturzer. This episode is multi-digit division using the area model method.
So today we're going to be learning about area model with division. And you have experience with area model and multiplication, but area model with division looks just a little bit different. So here we have a problem. A family in Japan is preparing for the Cherry Blossom Festival. They hang 1,296 paper lanterns evenly among 36 trees. How many lanterns are on each tree? So I look at this and I think, okay, what is being divided? Well, paper lanterns are being divided evenly among 36 trees. So my total is 1,296, which is also known as the dividend. So I'm going to write this in here. 1,296. That is our dividend. And then we have 36 trees. So we're trying to figure out, okay, this is 36 trees. And we have 1,296 lanterns. We're trying to figure out X. What is X represent? X represents how many lanterns per tree. Okay, so how many lanterns per tree? So I am going to set this up as an area model problem. And what we need to do is we need to use multiplication and estimation to figure out how to get our answer. Okay, so what I need to look at is say, okay, 36. Well, I know 36 times 10 is going to get me 360. Well, that isn't even close to this number right here. So I know that if I do 40, right, if I estimate 40 or 4 times something gets me close to 12, right? So 40 times 30 would get me close to 1,200. So I'm going to use my estimation skills, and I'm going to try 36 times 40. So I'm going to use the standard algorithm. I'm just going to do 36 times 4. And 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 144. If I add a 0, that's too much. So I'm going to try 36 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. If I add a 0, that makes it 1080. I can use multiplication to get my partial quotients in my area model. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to write 30 up here. And I'm going to break this into a box. So I'm going to subtract 1080, because 36 times 30 is 1080. And I have 216 left. Well, I know that 36 times 4 was 144. 36 times 3 was 108. If I tried 36 times 6, I wonder what that would get me. So 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18 plus the 3 right here. 19, 20, 21. Oh, look at that. It gets me 216. So I'm going to bring this 216 over to this box. I'm going to multiply 36 times 6 to get 216. I'm going to subtract it, and I have 0 remaining. So I have a partial quotient of 30 and a partial quotient of 6. I'm going to add those together. I get 36. So my answer is 36 lanterns per tree. My problem was 1,296, which was the dividend, divided among 36 trees. Sorry, I should have labeled this. 1,296 lanterns divided among 36 trees equals 36 lanterns per tree. All right, let's try another one. Okay, so we have at Oktoberfest in Germany, vendors make 2,016 pretzels. They pack them evenly into 42 baskets to sell. How many pretzels are in each basket? So I'm first going to start off with what I'm dividing up. So 216 pretzels divided up among 42 baskets equals how many, or X, pretzels per basket. So I'm going to set up my area model here. And I am going to put the 42 on the outside and my dividend on the inside. Remember, this is called your divisor. That's what's the groups are being divided up into, and this is what's being divided. So I need to use my estimation skills. So I know 4 times 5 gets me close to 20. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to get as a starting point. So 42 times 5. So I'm using the tens place to kind of get me near the first ballpark here, is how I did that. So 42 times 5 is 210. And if I added a 0, that would be 50. That's too much. But it got me really close. So I'm going to do 42 times 4. 42 times 4 is 168. If I add that 0, that gets me close. So I'm going to put 40 up here. And I'm going to subtract 1,680. Which is 336. So I'm going to bring that 336 over here. Now I know I did 42 times 5 right here, which is 210. And I know that 42 times 10 is 420. So the answer is going to be between 5 and 10. I'm going to try, just looking at this, I know that 6 would get me somewhere about 250. 7 would get me about 300. I'm going to try 8 and just see what that gets me. So 42 times 8, 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33. Oh, there we go. So that was 8. So I'm going to subtract that, and I have 0 remaining. So now I'm going to add 40 plus 8 equals 48. So my answer is 48 pretzels per basket. Let's try one with a bigger number. For the Dragon Boat Festival in China, organizers bought 6,552 rice dumplings to share equally among 24 racing teams. How many dumplings does each team get? So we know that 6,552 rice dumplings are being, are being divided among 24 racing teams. And we're trying to figure out how many dumplings per team. Okay, so I'm going to start this off by putting this in the dividend into my box and the divisor on the outside. So I'm going to look at this and I am going to use my estimation skills again, and I'm going to think, okay, so if I do 20 times, let's see, 20 times 3, that would get me 60. If I did 20 times 30, that would get me 600. And if I did 20 times 300, that would get me 6,000. So I'm going to try 24 times 3, because 6,000 is close to that, our 6,552. So I'm going to try 24 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Oh, that's too much. If I was to add these two zeros, that's way too much. So I'm going to try 24 times 2, which gets me 48. And if I add the two zeros to make it 4,800, that would get me a good starting point. So I'm going to draw my line and write 200 up here. And I'm going to subtract here. All right, so we're going to change that to a 5. So I have 1,752. Well, I know that I need to go higher than, all right, so I'm going to write that in the next box, and I'm going to see what gets me close to 1,752. Well, I'm looking at what I already did, and that's not going to work. So I'm going to use my estimation skills. I know 24 times 10 is 240, and 24 times 100 would be 2,400, so that's too much. So I'm just going to try 74 times 6 and see what that gets me. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 144. If I added a 0, that gets me close, but I might want to see if I can get closer. So I'm going to try 24 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. 7 times 2 is 14, plus the 2 is 16. And if I add a 0, that actually gets me really close. So I'm going to add the 70 up here. So now we're doing 24 times 70 is 1,680. We're going to subtract that. So 2 minus 0 is 2. I'm going to have to borrow because 8 is more on the floor. So I'm going to have to go next door. 15 minus 8 is 72. Oh, and I have seen that somewhere. I'm going to write the 72 up here to go to my next place value. And look at this right here. I already did the math for that. So 24 times 3 is 72. So I'm going to write the 3 minus the 72, and I have 0 remaining. So now I'm going to add these all together, and I get 273. So now we can replace that X right here with 273 dumplings per team. Keep on learning.